Ha. I hadn't unmuted yet.
You did what?
Exactly. Hey internets, it's Jake from Mini Terrain Domain, and this is the Dawnbringers. The Wild Beyond the Witchlight. This is Season 6, Episode 7. Tonight's session is called Bad Hair Day. We'll see what that means in just a little bit. Tonight's episode and the Dawnbringers as a whole is sponsored by Session Zero Clothing. So thank you to Session Zero Clothing for sponsoring our show. Session Zero Clothing, they have a tremendous selection of nerdy t-shirts, long sleeve shirts, sweatshirts, jackets, hats, accessories for your next session, Zero and beyond. They got some cool stickers. There's a really cool Raven Queen shirt that I really want to get. That's the whole reason why I'm on this weight loss journey, is I just want to be able to wear a 2X. They do have a great selection and keep everything in stock. So be sure to follow our affiliate link that is in the chat. And when you pick out all of the goodies, use code MTD0 to get 10% off of your order. And thank you to Cole for resubscribing. That earns the Dawnbringers another domain die. Domain dice are a way that you, the viewers, can have an impact on the game, just like Cole did with that resubscription. You resub, you gift subs, subscribe for the first time. You can tip $5. You can join through our Ko-fi link. You can cheer 500 bits. All of that stuff supports the channel and supports the Dawnbringers in their quest to be the greatest heroes in all the land. And they can use those for influencing the game in a number of ways, such as re-rolling, making me re-roll, all the way up to spending 5 tomes to get a super critical, which is automatic max damage times 2. Yeah, and they can only do that when you help them out with that. Another thing I want to tell you about is a couple weeks ago, I published a thing. The Calendar of Harptos Adventure Journal is designed for quick and easy access. It is a form-fillable calendar that will allow you as a game master, or if you're a player, you can keep track of your campaign in the Forgotten Realms. Or you can use it, you can repurpose it for wherever else. It is a 366-day calendar. Includes all of the festivals and the once every 4 years shield meet, which is a leap year. There are some character reference sheets included, so you can keep track of your party with some base level stats. There's a calendar at a glance. It's all form fillable, almost 400 pages. And it's only $4.99 on DM's Guild. And when we take our break today, we're going to take a 10-minute break. I'm going to give away a copy. So we're going to have a raffle during the break. So stick around for that. And you just might win yourself a copy of the Calendar of Harptos Adventure Journal. I drew a blank. Thank you, Jeremy. Jeremy's like got all of this opening monologue memorized apparently. Check out our channel sponsor, Talon and Claw. Talon and Claw's maker of fine wooden dice accessories like dice vaults. The new Heroes Vault successfully funded on Kickstarter. Above and beyond. Laser engraved things like coasters, and they've done cutting boards and do collaborations with people like 88 Riddles for painted dice, all kinds of really cool stuff. Head on over to that link, check out their Etsy shop, use code MTDClaw and get 10% off your order. The last thing I want to talk about before we get into our game is mental health. Mental health is something that is very important to us here at Mini Terrain Domain. Normalizing, talking about it openly, destigmatizing things around that. So we talk openly about it. I've been very open about my own struggles with depression and anxiety, and having to, about 2.5 years ago or so, I sought out professional help. And it has been immensely helpful for me. But, you know, sometimes you can be struggling and not know where to turn. First off, it is okay to struggle. It's okay to not be okay, to feel your feelings. But you don't have to do so alone. And we realize that maybe you don't know where to go. Maybe you don't know how to find that help. So you can, here in our chat anytime, you can type !help, and that will bring up the URL for findahelpline.com. That is a free website. All you have to do is type in where you are located in the world, hit enter, and help resources will show up in your area. And it's for mental health services, social services, phone numbers, websites, text lines, whatever you might need. Your journey starts there. So we encourage you to please use that resource. Bookmark that URL, save it for yourself, save it for a friend, but whatever you do, use it if you need it. With that, I think it's time to play some Dungeons and Dragons. So, the Dawnbringers have most recently found themselves in the Feywild. And they got there on purpose. They maybe didn't want to come here originally, but what was once their ship, a magical ship with the name the Evangeline, Cantriel was the guest captain, or temporary captain, or captain pro tem, however you want to say that, of this vessel when it was captured by a dragon and brought to Icewind Dale, where they spent a very long time trying to get that back, while saving Icewind Dale in the process from an evil god. However, the ship was damaged, and the vessel itself turned out to be a magical fey entity that is still known as Evangeline, but she saved some of the crew by sending them into the Feywild, and she herself was trapped in the Feywild. The Dawnbringers have since learned that that the Evangeline is in fact a powerful archfey and patron to some individuals, and she is the patron behind the WitchLight Carnival. And how far her influence extends, they're not entirely certain. But now that they're in the Feywild, they know that things are amiss. They have learned that there is a coven of hags known as the Hourglass Coven that has begun to take over things, and they're just beginning to see how distorted things are. Most recently, upon arrival, they saw a hot air balloon crash. They followed that. Of course, the hot air balloon on its way down, grabbed Fig, incidentally, and carried them off into the marshlands. They were able to locate the hot air balloon and Fig, and somebody new, a violet fairy dragon with a very lovely handlebar mustache by the name of Sir Tolliver, who is trapped in a silver cage. They took Sir Tolliver and began to travel towards a location known as Telemy Hill, which was found relatively easily, and they were escorted to the top of the hill by a large number of awakened trees. They headed into the this sort of cave opening in Ptolemy Hill, where everything seemed initially pretty somber in here, and there was a little bit of light coming from one area of this cave, and that's when a figure walked forward. You all realize that inside this cave you can see that there are glints of light from the firelight. There's light glinting all over the place, and you realize there are keys hanging everywhere in this chamber. They're hanging from the walls, they're on tables, they're on counters. As you are standing in this place and taking in this scene, you begin to hear this jingling sound. And a figure emerges from the dim light. And what you see is a little goblin girl wearing a coat lined with keys, and carrying at her side, it hangs limply, but she has this tenseness about her hand, like she could use it if she needed to, is a flail that at the end of it are several padlocks. And she looks at all of you and sort of faintly smiles and says, how might Jingle Jangle unlock a bit of happiness in your lives today? And she looks expectantly at all of you.
Big wants to reach out and just like touch the flail. Like just wants to see if he can just hear the jingling of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. What are you doing?
Those are very curious. I was trying to count them to see if the number of locks matched the number of keys.
Jingle Jangle can assure you, Jingle Jangle has very many more keys than there are padlocks. There are only 7 padlocks on this flail. At present, I have approximately 10,432 keys.
Fig just kind of like tilts his head, looks at the very obvious difference. That computes.
That's a lot of keys. What do you need so many keys for?
If Jingle Jangle has keys, Jingle Jangle can never be locked out. Jingle Jangle can never be locked behind a door. Did you all come to see Jingle Jangle's keys?
Perhaps less of all of your keys and more what you're able to do with them would be a better way of describing our current need.
Oh. Well. Are you not familiar with keys? Jingle Jangle can show you. This key opens a skeleton lock.
Very familiar with how they work. It's more, perhaps you can help us with how one might work for someone we know.
You need a specific key.
That's correct.
Well, as I said, I have... Currently, Jingle Jangle has 10,432 keys. Perhaps one of these is the key you seek?
That's what I'm hoping. And perhaps of those 10,000, etc., impressive number, by the way, you might be able to tell which one might be the lock's friend just by looking at the lock and then figure out the key.
Jingle Jangle is an expert when it comes to locks. Jingle Jangle can look at the lock and know almost immediately what sort of key is needed, and whether or not Jingle Jangle already has it.
Perfection. You're exactly the person we need then.
This makes Jingle Jangle happy.
Wonderful. So, Cantriel, which of us has the cage? Who is carrying the cage again?
Well, as you approached Telemy Hill, it was sitting on the mushroom that you had all used as a boat for the dwarves.
Okay.
So I don't know. One of you grabbed it.
Well, if Cantriel doesn't have the cage, she will take the cage and be like, this lock here on this cage, we need assistance with.
As you hold it out, Sir Tolliver just kind of sticks his little violet hand out. Hello. Jingle Jingle knows exactly what key you are looking for. Jingle Jingle doesn't even have to look for it. Jingle Jingle knows exactly where this key is.
Excellent.
Jingle Jangle does not have this key.
Not so
There it
excellent.
is.
Yeah,
All right.
that figures.
Do you know where it is?
You see, as you say this, Jingle Jangle's face and just whole demeanor suddenly sinks. Yes, Jingle Jangle remembers exactly who took the key. Jingle Jangle was digging for truffles in the swamp when a bunch of herringons leapt out from behind the reeds and shrubbery. They took Jingle Jangle's truffles, threw Jingle Jangle down in the mud, and whacked Jingle Jangle with their wooden clubs. Jingle Jangle's silver key was with Jingle Jangle's truffles.
I am terribly sorry to hear that. I don't suppose they had an odd bottle and stopper thing with them, did they?
Not that Jingle Jangle is aware of. Does
Didn't
this
try
stopper
to-
have a key?
No, it was more they were using that to take memories as payment.
Oh dear. Jingle Jangle knows this was Agden Longscarf's brigands.
So not the same group then?
All of the Herringon in this area work for Agden Longscarf. He wears
Of course
a
they
bright blue scarf and he moves fast
Yes.
as lightning.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing that scarf doesn't get caught on something and choke him.
Are you going to help Jingle Jangle?
Considering our interaction with Mr. Blue Scarf, I'd say the chances are very high.
Jingle Jangle only wants 3 things. A bag of truffles, or something tasty. A thirst-quenching beverage that isn't mud water. And a solemn vow to avenge the abuse Jingle Jangle suffered at the hands of those brigands.
Oh, I like this one.
And she's clutching at her
Price for this
flail,
is
and you
to-
can.
Go give those rabbits a beat down. I think we can handle it.
You will be avenged. Thoroughly.
This makes Jingle Jangle very happy.
It makes Cantriel very happy too.
You will need to go to Brigand's Tollway. Brigand's Tollway is a series of old wooden catwalks that are all circled around a giant tree stump. And Agden Longscarf and his brigands, they camp out at the top of this stump so that they can have the high ground. They've built their wooden walkways so that anybody heading in that direction will have no choice but to encounter them. So if you
Oh.
follow those, you will find Agden and his brigands. And Jingle Jangle Silver Key. And hopefully
All
Jingle
right.
Jangle's truffles.
And if we
How long
bring
ago
back
did they
this,
take them?
Sorry, two of you were talking at the same time. I
Sorry.
heard part
Yeah,
of
go ahead.
each.
How long ago did they take them?
It was barely a week ago.
Hmm. I wouldn't hold out hope for those truffles.
If we bring back this key, you would be willing to open the lock that it goes to? Set our friend free?
Very happily, one of the things that Jingle Jangle loves more than the sound of Jingle Jangle's keys is the sound of a key in a lock.
Excellent. Would you like to point to the direction so we can get started?
I will gladly do that. And Jingle Jangle walks over to a table, and you hear a little bit of clinking, and suddenly there's more light as Jingle Jangle has lit a lantern, and off of one of the tables grabs a piece of parchment and a pencil, and very quickly you just hear, as her arm is moving, you just hear this constant, almost like sleigh bell sound as she's drawing something, and she hands you a piece of paper that that shows you all of these, shows you Ptolemy Hill, and it shows you to the west of Ptolemy Hill, you see the drawing of a slanty tower, and it actually says slanty tower underneath it. There's a long broken line that represents the causeway that you all appeared on. There's a far to the north, there's what appears to be a river drains into a lake, or vice versa. And there's a large tree stump with wooden plankways drawn all around it that says Brigand's Tollway. And just beyond that is a series of structures drawn around a pond or lake with the word Downfall written above it.
I know it's not likely, to scale or anything, but what is the distance between the hill and the tower versus the hill and the lake?
Almost twice as far.
Okay.
It's a crude map, but surprisingly well drawn for being done in just a couple of moments, and she hands it back to you. Jingle Jangle hopes you will forgive her, but Jingle Jangle will stay here. Until you deal with Agden Longscarf and his brigands, Jingle Jangle does not feel safe out there. Here, Ptolemy Hill and the trees protect Jingle Jangle.
Perfectly fine. Stay here. Be safe.
Can Jingle Jangle ask question?
Of course.
Who are you? Oh,
Well,
so
I'm Cantriel. That
Cantriel.
is Talmud. That's Thorgarn. And this is Fig. And that is Drown. And don't mind, we have Rolo just kind of coming along with us, right?
Rolo's usually asleep on
like
somebody's
sleep around my
shoulder.
neck.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then she points to her shoulders, and this is Rolo. She's sleeping, and we're just sort of here on a mission of our own, but we're more than happy to help out those along the way.
Some of us know us as the Dawnbringers.
There's that, yeah.
Dawnbringers.
It's pretty catchy.
And occasionally accurate.
Jingle Jangle will remember the name of the Dawnbringers.
Right. Well, I thought we were remarkably restrained with those rabbits. Let's go handle this.
So that kind of like leads a question. This place is a bit dangerous. So like, are we looking to like ruffle feathers, or are we?
Rabbits don't have feathers, Thorgarn. They're more like a fur-covered creature.
An expression, cousin.
Oh, I knew that.
Are we roughing them up, or are we like putting them down for good? I know they kind of have a whole thing. I don't want to be stepping on toes if shouldn't be stepping on toes.
Well, I'd say they've earned a beating in kind.
Jingle Jangle thinks you should step on all their toes. Every last one of them. Pull off their ears and tear out their tails.
All right,
Then
this is
beat
going
them.
a little harder than I was thinking.
I'm just asking, are we supposed to be pulling our punches, or are we playing for keeps?
My plan was not to kill them, but
Okay. I'm just very leery about this place. I want to make sure that I'm on the same page as everyone else.
with good reason.
All right.
Shall we? We go.
As
There's
you-
no need to dither around.
Say that again?
No need to dither around.
I didn't hear dither, I heard gather, and I was like, wait, what? Okay. So as you leave Jingle Jangle's cave and you are heading back down the hill, let's see. Fig. More of these trees, these awakened trees, they've sort of been gathered around this cave. And as you all emerge, these trees, they sort of do that thing like when people are listening at a door and they quickly try to move away. You see some of the trees are like... And as you begin following the path back down the water to where you left your mushroom boat for the dwarves, Fig, you notice one of the trees is sort of walking alongside you. And it's a medium-sized tree, but it's a tree nonetheless, so it's obvious that it's kind of pacing you. And just as you notice it, it's reaching out like it was about to tap your arm. And this branch sort of pulls back. Oh, I'm sorry.
Hello.
I hope I didn't frighten you.
No, you did not.
Oh, good. I'm always worried that I'm going to scare people. And be surprised at how scared people get when a tree approaches them or taps them on the shoulder. I'm not always expecting that.
That is not the usual behavior of trees, or so
No.
I've been told.
Well, the trees of Ptolemy Hill are anything but usual. We couldn't help but overhear. All of you and your friends are going to be helping Jingle Jangle. That is, thank you very much. I wanted to give you this, and the tree holds out its hand, which is just this branch comes down, and there's about 3 or 4 spindly branches on the end, a couple feathers, and there's nothing in its hand. And it says, I said I want to give you this. And it does this again, and a little gray squirrel goes, comes running down to the hand, sits up in the hand, and in its mouth it is holding a small metal ring with a key hanging from it. It is a brass key. This key should become very useful to you later on.
Oh. Thank you. And Fig will like carefully, gingerly reach out and grab the key and kind of dangle it up to look at it and to show to the others if they've stopped. What is your name?
Curse you all because of the first name that popped into my head. My friends call me Kermit. No other name is in my head because of these people in the side chat since I started talking.
Well, it is nice to meet you, Kermit.
My full name is Kermit the Log.
Fig just nods, like very... That is a wonderful name.
Again, thank you. We all thank you. Hi-ho! Thorgarn and Talmud, and I would say probably Talmud first. You notice as you head down to where your mushroom boat is, the water level has risen 5 feet. Which means for the dwarves, if you were to... You already weren't walking through the water, but now it would be over your head. So now you know if you fall off this boat, you are getting drenched.
Points. No, go ahead.
More of a problem for me since, rising 5 feet is rising more than my height, and I'm wearing armor.
You're not as afraid of water as Talmud is.
True, but
water's less likely to kill him than it is to kill you. That's what you're saying.
Indeed.
Talmud will point it out kind of as they approach, and he's kind of shaking his finger as if he's not entirely certain, but he looks to the rest of the group. It's the water's it's grown. It's bigger. Taller.
You have any more of those potions, cousin?
The one that turned me into a shark.
Yeah.
No.
Just checking.
No, I don't. He's gonna start actually rifling through his pack, looking for anything that he might have.
Fig, roll me a D8, please.
That is a 7.
Okay. So you know that you have to head north. Based on the map that Jingle Jangle gave you. For all of you that aren't asleep on somebody's shoulders or a dwarf on a raft, the water level will probably be roughly around your midsection to your chest. If you go trudging through it, unless you have other means by which you will traverse.
So whoever it is that was pulling Talmud on a mushroom boat,
Cantriel and Drown were.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly apologize. Talmud's going to activate the ring of water walking that he's currently wearing, and has been.
This entire time.
For some time now, and he'll just walk across the swampy water.
He just pulled a Dumb and Dumber Here, take my extra gloves. You all watch as Talmud just suddenly touches a ring on his finger and just walks out on top of the water, like Legolas on the snow while you're all waist deep.
So it's just me then.
Yep.
If you'd prefer, you can ride on my shoulders.
It's more. What do you prefer? I'm not afraid of the water as much as my cousin is.
Well, it was a joke. Whatever, we can still pull you on the mushroom. That's fine.
Appreciated.
Sure.
And I don't like. Am I able to like assist in pulling, even though I'm on the top of the water?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you walk on it just like it's ground.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Then I'll give a hand.
Yeah.
Pull my weight.
What's the actual depth of the water again, Jake?
It's 5. It's risen 5 feet.
Right.
Which means it's probably close to 6 feet. So actually, I don't know how that affects you, Cantriel.
That's probably over her head.
That's gonna go over her head if it's closer to 6 feet. Yeah.
Right.
And Fig, you don't have to breathe, so that's entirely up to
that's
you.
probably, chest on drown. So
If it's like 6 feet, then it's over.
Yeah, I was thinking 5 feet deep, not accounting for the fact that it was already about
it was
18
already
inches.
fairly deep. Yeah.
It was about 18 inches deep. So yeah, it would be over your head. So are you riding on the mushroom boat too? That is not the euphemism it sounds like. We're not going to touch it. We're just going to keep moving forward.
She's gonna look for a paddle to help steer things.
Yeah, I think there's enough marshy plant life around here. You could find a broadleaf or piece of waterlogged wood or something that you can use to paddle along.
Excellent. Perfect. Then that's what Cantriel will do. Yep.
All right. I would like Drown and Talmud. You can roll either individually or one of you can roll with advantage. Make a survival check.
I got +4.
Okay. So you're sort of the
I
one
guess
guiding
I'm
this.
rolling with advantage.
So go ahead and roll survival with advantage.
It's 17.
Okay. As you are making your way north, your visibility is limited to about maybe 30 feet because of the mist and fog all around. But you realize that as you're moving along, there's certain areas where it seems like there's almost a current. And it's easier to pull the boat because it's kind of getting just pulled along automatically. And it's even easier for you to move through it. Talmud, it would be the magical equivalent of walking on a moving sidewalk at the airport. You suddenly are finding it much easier to move along. As you are moving along through this, in this flow of water, taking you gradually northward, I would like each of you to roll a d8. And we're going to start with Cantriel. Tell me what you got.
A 4.
As you are paddling and you're noticing this mushroom boat's moving just a little bit quicker and easier, you're having to paddle less frequently, which means you're disturbing the water less frequently. And as you sort of you move the paddle in and you see that little swirl the water makes as the paddle goes through, you notice that there's a little bit of a reflection coming off of the surface of the water. And you start to see other movement there on the surface. And you catch yourself just sort of drifting into a blank stare at this water as you see a tall, thin figure wearing a pointy black hat and a hooded black cloak. They're climbing up a rickety staircase to a very large, ramshackle house that's built up on stilts. As the figure approaches the house, their shadow seems to detach. They're stepping up the steps, and as they get close to the door, there's lantern light kind of spilling out. And you see their shadow just sort of pulls away from their body and climbs up the side of the stairs, along the side of the house, and sort of from the side just climbs through a window. And then the water gets disturbed again by a piece of debris floating by, and the vision is gone. Drown, what'd you get?
I have a 2.
You see that in the water, as you step forward, every time your large body steps forward, you push the water a little bit and create these little waves. And you just watch as these tiny waves sort of crest. And the sound seems to alter, and you see, and it sounds like the dry rustling of pages turning. And in the water, you see a vision of pages flipping, being turned in a tome. And the vision seems to pull back, and you see that there is what appears to be a wealthy monarch, as you can see their clothing of their lap and their sleeves are very fancy, lots of jewels, bright colors, silks, and they're surrounded by green. But the camera keeps panning back, and you see a green hand is turning the pages. And you realize you are looking at a bullywug dressed as a king. And between each page turn, they reach up and adjust an ill-fitting crown of lily blossoms. And as they reach up to adjust the crown, you suddenly see and just a lone lily blossom just moves by in the current. Fig, what did you get?
I got a 6.
You see in the water a reflection of you see a woman wearing a crimson cap, pulled tight to her head, and she wears a leather apron that at first glance in the swirling water, this almost looks like it's the leather apron has a pattern of little rose blossoms all across it. And then you see a flash of silver and you hear shoo! And suddenly more of these rose blossoms appear on the apron, and you realize it's not rose blossoms, it's blood splatters. As the cleaver lifts up, having just cut through a big slab of meat in a drab-looking kitchen. Thorgarn.
I have an 8.
As you're sitting passively on this mushroom being pulled with the current, and through Cantriel is next to you sort of paddling, and Talmud and Drown are pulling it, you see, you become very aware of the sound of the croaking of frogs all around you. And you swear you can see several of them. You see a couple of them just and splash into the water. And you see what looks like you're moving past a whole line of what looks like pussy willows rising up out of the water. but instead of the I don't know what you call it, willow blossom, whatever it is, you see that there are rows upon rows of severed bullywug heads, and they're all croaking and chattering at one another. And it's like one of those, if you ever had it, especially in the heat of the summer, if you live anywhere near water, and you can hear that just constant din of the frogs croaking, and it's just pervasive in your head. And if you look away or close your eyes against it, when you look back, they're gone. They're just pussy willows passing by in the passage of you all going by.
Thorgarn's initial, thought pattern or reaction, as it's starting to drive him bonkers, is to kind of look at everyone else to see if they're, responding to, this insanity of noise. And it's then in that moment of like just frustration that, it disappears, and nobody else seems to have the similar kind of reaction that he did.
Now everybody's kind of staring into the water, or just quietly moving, trudging through. You hear the constant shh of drown trudging through, and the occasional splash of Cantriel's paddle, and you can just see Fig's head sort of moving, just sort of bobbing up along the surface as he's walking along. Which would of course mean right behind him is his simulacrum, and I imagine occasionally moving back and forth through the water. Though you don't hear the sound, you just see shh, 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 shh.
You just see the like ripples, and like there's like almost like a fin that looks, but it's just like the top of Hermes' head, and he's just kind of like gliding.
And every
through.
once in a while it just stops, and it's like Hermes is standing on tiptoes as you see his head just go shh. Talmud, what did you get?
I likewise got a 2, so I don't know if you want me to re-roll.
Nope.
Okay.
I'll just use a different number. Oh, good Lord, I read that wrong for a second. You see in the water what at first looks like a lobster. And you see what stands out as the claws. And as you're staring at it, it's almost like you're slipping into a daydream. As you see these claws, they're actually metal. And they're not on a lobster. They're on a scarecrow. They're attached to a scarecrow that's child-sized. But the scarecrow doesn't have a head. And you notice that there are a bunch of objects sitting around this scarecrow with these lobster claws. It reaches down and it grabs a wooden bucket and kind of looks around and then pulls it off. There's a wilted, withered looking head of cabbage that it puts up on its shoulders, and then it just kind of goes crushes it up, and then it looks over and it sees a large gourd, grabs this and just starts making gestures like it's talking to somebody, and it seems very satisfied. And as you sort of slip into this daydream a little bit, you stumble just for a step, and the splashing of your foot on the surface of the water causes ripples, and that vision just vanishes. This all happens over the course of several minutes as you are all walking along, and Talmud, as you sort of stumble again, this time Actually, make me a dexterity saving throw. And I'm going to say not advantage because of the vision. You didn't see this thing.
Oh. You caught me on a good day, sir. 7.
All of you are sort of snapped out of this weird daydream state as you hear Talmud involuntarily cry out and a clatter as Talmud stumbles into... Talmud, you rack your shin right into the side of some wooden planking that's sitting just, well, at shin height above the surface of the water. And you fall face first onto a wooden walkway. You all hear this clatter, and then a moment later, Cantriel and Thorgarn, the floating mushroom you're on, just sort of bumps up against this, and you all have that feeling like, was I just asleep? I wasn't asleep, but you had just kind of slipped into this sort of daydream state. What would you all do?
Did you all see
Dalman's just sitting down, kind of rubbing his shin. You're trying to kind of move this pain out of that bone.
I know that pain well.
Yeah, I have like a 6-inch scar on my shin from a similar incident in real life.
Ouch.
Were you saying something, Ted?
I was saying, did you all see that? What is going on with this place?
Yeah, I saw something. Felt like a daydream, but it was very specific, very vivid.
Was it mounted bullywug heads croaking incessantly?
No, it was a bullywug, but it was a bullywug dressed like a king reading a storybook with a crown of flowers.
Now they were all like heads mounted all along the water that just kept croaking as frogs do. None of you were even the slightest bit bothered by it. It was kind of driving me mad.
Didn't see or hear it.
Did anyone else see anything bullywug related?
Not at all bullywug related.
No, mine. Mine had some form of scarecrow in it with metal claws, and it kept switching its head out for different things. It didn't really make a lot of sense, honestly.
Mine was a tall, slender creature that managed to detach its shadow from its body after climbing up to its house on stilts, almost.
The figure I saw was wearing an apron and was cutting things, and there was blood. Like Fig just kind of make these like.
Oh, this isn't disturbing at all. No.
You hear another voice says, "Huh. I had a vision of a hag that looked kind of like a toad, was relaxing in a pool of water, and miniature versions of herself were using a ladle to pour the water over her head and shoulders. Sounds like we're all having some very weird visions."
Is that the fairy dragon?
That is not the fairy dragon.
Okay, look over.
You all look around, and there is another individual that has joined your party that is wearing a hooded cloak.
Hello?
Hey, how's it going?
Any chance you can show yourself?
Oh, yeah. I could absolutely do that.
So how about you do that?
Sure. Lowers his head down and pulls his hood back and kind of throws his head back like throwing back a head of hair, and you see a big set of floppy ears emerge. And he takes the cloak and kind of throws it back, and as he does so, it sort of flies behind him and it sort of turns inside out, and you see the inside of it as it suddenly trails behind him in this long, brilliantly blue scarf. Agden Longscarf, pleasure to meet you all. Now, since you have wandered into my territory, see this dock here, this wooden plankway belongs to me and my associates. Now, we don't want to cause any kind of trouble, so if you would kindly place whatever your most valuable possession is into this skiff, and he kind of points off to the side, and you see that there's one of several. You see at least 3 or 4 of these little skiffs with each one of them has like 3 other Harengon on them, and they're using long sticks to push them. And a couple of them look to be armed with bows. And it says, as the one rolls up, he says, place it into this skiff, and we will let you continue on your way completely unharmed. If you put up any kind of a resistance, I'm afraid we are going to have to bonk you severely about the head and shoulders.
Well, here's the thing. We've heard this threat before, and it didn't go well for your kind. In fact, we've got a lovely little trinket as a result. So I highly suggest you change your tune, or I'm going to start singing some of mine.
That was you that accosted my associates and took possession of their magic bottle.
No, your associates tried to accost us, so we just paid in kind.
Well, we're brigands. That's what we do. What would you have us do?
Congratulations. I was a pirate, too.
Ooh, that
We can
sounds
play the
exciting.
one-up game if you want to. I was a captain. How about you?
I have been the leader of this group of brigands for, well, it could have been a week or it could have been a century. I'm not entirely sure, but it's been a very long time. Now, about those possessions.
Sure.
A good leader would know when to back down.
I really love that this place just brings our quarry right to us.
It
And
makes it so
Drown
much
snaps
easier.
his
Oh my
fingers
gosh, it's
and
not like
makes
we're
the-
wandering.
Drown snaps his fingers, and the water in 100-foot on a side cube around the skiff and the rabbits bursts up 20 feet, casts control water, and floods it.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, this is what we're here for, right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give me 1 second. So,
That's amazing.
so you're doing the flood feature? Is that what you were
Mhm.
doing?
Yep.
Okay. And it's just, so it's basically just kind of geysering up in this.
Yeah, it just like bulges up to 20 feet.
Are you
high.
including yourself in this area of effect?
I am going to go ahead and not catch us in it, but I'll catch me in it if I can get me and nobody else. That's fine. So
Because
it
of
might
the
be just the skiff and the other Harengon, not Agden, but
yeah, I think you definitely send. I'm just gonna roll. I'm gonna roll for these skiffs. I don't see this going well. What's your spell save DC?
21.
Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second. I've got a couple of high numbers here. You're definitely sending them all scattering, and even if you're doing it relatively close, you are raising water in a larger body of water. What goes up comes down, which means I'm going to need dex saves from everybody in your group anyway, because this water is going to rise up and immediately spread out.
No,
Correct.
it remains elevated as long as the spell goes or until I choose a different effect.
Okay, so it hasn't come out. So
Yeah, so it just stretches up 20 feet and then hangs there.
okay.
Yeah.
So you immediately spill a couple of these skiffs. You just see them topple over, and you see pieces of boardwalk kind of go scattering, and but a couple of the skiffs, they seem to sort of ride along the edge, begin paddling really quickly, and kind of center themselves in there. And Agden looks at you and says, I see somebody woke up and chose violence today. And
How far away is Agden?
he's like less than 10 feet from you.
Is he standing on the water or is he standing on the land?
He's standing on the boardwalk next to the rest of you that were right there at the boardwalk.
I don't know if it's initiative, but I was gonna just like launch myself off the raft and grapple him.
Yeah, it's good with Drown's action. That's going to kick off an initiative roll.
That's
So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and take break just a little bit early. And that'll give me a minute to set this up. Because I wasn't expecting it to go quite this way. I don't know what I was
sent us
expecting.
here to punch rabbits.
Yeah, well. So yeah, we are going to take our break a little bit early. But what that also means is we are giving away a Harptos calendar of Harptos adventure journal during the break. So stick around during this break. As soon as we go to break, I'm gonna throw the raffle code into the chat. And anybody can enter. Just type !join. And right around the time our break ends, that raffle will randomly choose the winner. Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and go to break, get that raffle going, and we'll see you in about 10 minutes. See you on the other side. And we're back. Congratulations to Erasmus Expeditions, who's won the copy of the Calendar of Harptos. For the next few weeks, every time we stream a game, I will be giving away a copy of that. So be sure to tune into other adventures to have a chance to win one of those. Or you could just head on over to DM's Guild, follow that link, and pick up your own copy for $4.99. It's time for some action. Thorgarn, you're at the top of the order. Drown has just flooded an area, causing a big section of water to rise 20 feet up into the air. Catching a couple of the skiffs off guard. A couple of the boats are up on top. And you've got Agden Longscarf himself is on the boardwalk. You're currently still on the floating mushroom, but he's less than 10 feet away from you. What would you like to do?
So I just want to leap off the raft. I really hope I don't send Cantriel into the drink, but I want to just get up to him and I'm going to grapple.
It's probably pointless, but Cantriel, make a dex save as Thorgarn suddenly launches himself off the skiff. I say it's probably pointless because I know you have a really high dex.
24.
Yeah, you have no problem holding your own. So you are going to leap and attempt a grapple. Mm-hmm. So that is going to be in acrobatics athletics strength check.
How do you feel about 26?
Depends. How do you feel? Oh, man. Never mind. I was going to make a smart-ass comment. It was a 25 that he rolled. I did my math wrong for a second. He starts to leap. Like he's just going to jump out of the way. And you suddenly get hold of him. So you have him grappled.
Me.
So you're just gonna tackle him and hold on to him.
So my plan is to get him restrained. I want to get the haft of Forge Fane across his throat, and just tell him to give up. But we'll see what happens.
Do you actually just do that? Tell him to give up?
Yeah.
You've got this thing pressed up against his throat, and he just goes, "We're only just starting." And you can feel he's got his big, powerful feet kind of pressing against you, but he can't currently get away from you. In response, three from one of the skiffs, three of the brigands that are in there, the rest of you sort of hear this, and all three of them release slings. They are aiming at Thorgarn because he has Agden pinned. So that's going to be a...
No, I get cover from him?
You're on top of him.
I was trying to get behind him.
That's feasible then, yeah. The way you tackle, I mean, you beat him, so you tackle him, kind of roll over and pinning him like that. So that would be a 19 to hit. You get, for partial cover, you get what? It's +2, I think.
Yeah, half cover from a creature is
Okay.
+2 AC.
Yeah,
So
that just gets me.
say again.
That just gets me then.
So 19 still hits you.
Yeah.
A 14 will miss. And one of them actually hits Agden because he crit failed. So you got hit by one of these. You're probably barely going to notice as you take 6 points of bludgeoning damage as a rock just pelts off the back of your neck. But you also see 1 for 7 points just beans Agden right next to his eye.
Yeah, it doesn't even get into my real hit points. It's been like that.
Still bouncing off Palor's blessing.
Yep.
So that's the brigands all went. Talmud, it's your turn.
I cannot remember if have we had a day since the last encounter that we had?
I mean, the last
don't remember
encounter
how much
being the
time.
balloon animals, right?
You were in a different
You were
realm,
kids.
and as you're in your current state, you are fully recovered when you arrived in the Feywild.
Including things that renew on once a day?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Have any of these rabbits gotten out of their boats to try to get down off of the column of water?
No. They all seem
No?
quite comfortable in their skiffs. There's only 3 skiffs because the other 2 skiffs got dumped over. So there's currently 6 of the rabbits that are swimming towards boardwalks in the water. But
Okay.
there's 9 total rabbit folk in skiffs.
Okay. And where's Drown currently? Is he in the column?
He's in the water next
I
to the
don't-
column.
I don't think I could get myself in the column because it would hit everybody else. So I'm basically
Okay.
right next to the big column of water.
In the water or on the boardwalk?
In the water.
Pretty sure I'm in the water. Yeah.
You're the only one. You and Talmud. Damn it. You and Thorgarn are the only ones
The
that
only
actually
ones.
on the boardwalk at present.
Okay. Okay, I'll hold off. I am going to. Damn. I don't know if there's anybody I can reach currently, other than the guy who's being pinned down.
You'd caper the mountebank up on top of the water.
Yeah, I thought about that. Okay, can I use my action instead to maybe try to pull Fig out of the water?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Then I'll do that.
Okay.
I'm just kind of like look for the the wake, the little 3 wakes that are kind of moving together, and just kind of reach down into the front one and try to just grab a hold of Fig and kind of pull him up bodily up onto the gangplank here.
Okay. As long as Fig's willing.
Yeah.
I
Of
don't see
course,
that being
of
a
course.
problem, but Thorgarn, Agden is just looking up at you, and he says, "You're much stronger than you look. And you know what? I was always told dwarves smelled of ale. You don't stink of ale." And he pushes off against you. You need to make another contested check as he's going to try to break your grapple. Let's see. What would be a rabbit die? We'll go with...
I'm gonna use a domain die.
Yeah, me too. Okay.
25.
10. You know what? I think I'll stay here for a minute longer. That is going to, let's see, that's Agden's turn because he can't move. As he says this, he kind of reaches up and with one hand, and he kind of puts his hand in the process of trying to break free. He's pushing against you with his feet, but he also puts one hand on you. And I would say, Cantriel, you probably notice from your position on the boat, maybe even Fig, that as he does it, the way he puts his hand, that he's got his hand is sort of like this, like he's almost like he's signaling when he hits Thorgarn's shoulder. And from atop the water, 3 of the Harengon, they don't have slings, they have crossbows. And they're all going to shoot at Thorgarn. That is a 4, so that's going to miss. Just thunk into the deck. Agden kind of looks at it like, oh. A 13 and a 15, so I think all of those are going to miss you. So you see that first one go thunk, and then you hear thoo thoo as 2 more crossbow bolts strike. Drown, it is your turn.
Drown will look down at the
You train
crossbow
your
bolts.
men better.
Drown will look down at the crossbow bolts, grin, and say, "Nice grouping," and dive into the water and swim up and strike with his sword of sharpness against the skiff with the crossbow rabbits on it.
Okay. Well, the crossbow rabbits are actually 1 on each of the 3 skiffs.
And one of the skiffs.
Okay. So you target one of the skiffs. Go ahead and attack.
That is going to be 2 hits, and Sword of Sharpness maximizes damage dice against objects, so that's a total of 42 points of damage.
What? What does it look like when you destroy this skiff and take 3 of the rabbits out of the fight?
I mean, they'll paddle around. They're not out.
No,
of the
you don't
fight
kill them, but
necessarily.
you effectively take them out of the fight by destroying their skiff.
So Drown just sort of like dives forward into the water, and you can see the shadow of him just like dart up, and then there's this sound as the sword pokes up from through the boat hull, right between the rabbits, and then just sort of scissors and cuts it in half.
There's just this as the sword comes up, one of them that was standing there just kind of looks down as this blade just goes sunk. He taps his buddy on the shoulder who looks down, and then they just suddenly move to the side as you slice this boat in half, and rabbits and boat pieces just go flying as you've taken 1/3 of the offenders out of the fight.
All right.
Cantriel. Or sorry,
Okay,
Drown,
so-
is that your turn? Cantriel.
All right, so Cantriel is going to look at the lovely wrinkled Mr. Blue Scarf, as she likes to call him, she's not even going to say anything. Instead, she sort of takes her middle finger and her thumb together and she glides them together and this spark starts forming. And before she goes and grabs an arrow from her quiver, she makes a certain gesture and just raises her eyebrow. And then she pulls the arrow back and aims it at the skiff that's sort of across the way from where Drown was just working on another skiff. She's going to shoot lightning arrow at the one who has a crossbow.
Okay.
So,
are you aiming at the crossbow sniper, or are you aiming at the boat?
I am aiming at the crossbow sniper.
Okay.
Because they be shooting at my friend.
Yep.
So, with Sempre Cavatina, she's going to hit with a 23.
Yeah, that is definitely going to hit.
Okay. And so Sempre Cavatina is going to do on its own 12 damage. And then the lightning arrows are going to be 48 worth. So that's going to be 20 points of lightning damage if the others do not make, let's see, a dex saving throw. If they do make it, then it's 10. Against a dex 17.
A 14, a 9. How much damage does it? Did you say it does? 20?
20 lightning.
Drown, as you come up out of the water, you see on one of the other skiffs on this column of water, as these other rabbits are diving in, you just hear the familiar twang of Sempre Cavatina. It almost has a musical note. Not even almost. It does have a musical quality to it when Cantriel fires it. Cantriel, what does it look like when you take out all three of these Harengon? Like,
so,
you actually take them out. You kill all three of them.
Yeah. She's not messing around here. So the arrow lands true basically in the hand of the one who is holding the crossbow. And you see this static building and the lightning electricity shooting out from the sides of the crossbow to the companions in the boat and down through the target's legs as the boat splinters into a bunch of different pieces from the impact of the lightning bolts.
As you do that, Talmud, nope, damn it. Now I've messed up both your names. Thorgarn, as this happens, you see, over kind of from where you're behind, pinning back, Agden, you see over from behind his head, you see this explosive ruination of these Harengon, and Agden tenses for a moment, and you feel his shoulders stop, just sort of sag a little bit as he stops resisting against you, and you just hear him mutter, "By Evangeline, I yield, yield, yield," and he starts waving his hand.
Oh, Cantriel turns. Like I said, a good leader knows when to back down. We already told you we encountered some of your crew already, with poor results. We tried to get you to listen. Now you're paying attention.
Yes, I'm paying attention. Excuse me, Sir Dwarf, could you let off my throat a little bit?
So I move the hammer off his throat, but I grab the scarf.
It is a very long scarf. This trails trails about 15 feet behind him, so he's...
I'm going to begin winding it.
He stands up.
Mummify him.
He stands up and he's kind of like, oh, right. Well, you're certainly.
Okay. I get the point. It's not a leash. You don't have to pull so tight.
Oh, no, you don't understand. And I begin taking it off of him.
One second. How are you taking it off of him?
Physically, I'll unravel it around his neck.
Okay. You do so for several minutes, and no matter how many times you unwind it, there just seems to be more scarf. It doesn't unwind. Just doesn't seem to be an end to it. You're not sure you're pulling from the right end because you're still holding about 15 feet of scarf. So you kind of wind back. It's kind of like trying to open a thing of bread, the little windy tie, and you're not sure which way to go. You're like, no, this is the, and you go back. No matter how many times you unwind this thing, it doesn't come undone from his neck. And he just looks at you.
I tell him to take it off.
My friend, if I could remove this scarf, I would not be here. I would be in an entirely different line of work. Evangeline herself put this scarf on me, and I think only Evangeline herself can take it off. Listen, if you're quite done, I am a great leader of my people.
All right.
And I recognize when it is time to back down. Truly, whoever you are amazing at what you do. I would like to talk more about how we could possibly work together.
Right. So, well, if I can't take your scarf here, I thought it was some kind of symbol of pride, your nomenclature, if you will. What do we want? We want a particular key. And what do you think is your most valuable possession?
That is a good question. I would have to say my most valuable possession is my people.
So you're going to sell your people into slavery?
Whoa, hold on a minute now. Nobody said the S word. We know. My people work for me out of pride and honor.
Right. Well, you tried to say we have to give you our most valuable possession.
Dude,
I'm turning it around on you.
Okay, I understand that. You know how you do understand how robbery works, yes?
Yes, and you have been physically beaten.
Yeah,
quite swiftly.
Yeah, admittedly so.
So you just said that your most valuable possession is your people. They now work for us.
Well, each one of them does have their own agency and will have to make that decision for themselves.
Then what do you propose?
You are soaking wet. You have the smell of the bog about you. Not just you, your friends. Come with me. We'll sit down, we'll have a civilized conversation. You're asking about a key. Maybe I have this key and I can give this key to you. And we can put it to a vote to the rest of the brigands here. And if they want to work for you, well, that's entirely up to them. I am a man of honor. And if they choose to work for you, I will honor that change in employment.
We're not going to where you have another trap set. You have been destined.
I am offended, sir. You think that I would try to trap you?
Yes. Undoubtedly.
How long have we known each other?
5 seconds.
It's probably been about 3-4 minutes at least, pushing 5. In that time, have you not learned that I have honor in the way that I fight?
Nope.
You bested me.
Yep.
Honor doesn't involve hand signals.
Yeah, I don't.
Oh,
I don't believe
that's leadership. They were trying to free me. This was all part of the game, my friend.
That's manipulation and cowardice. Having others do your dirty work.
Well,
Are you not familiar with how robbery works?
So this is how it's going. You attempted to rob us, as did your associates earlier today. They failed. You failed. We're now robbing you.
well, all of our possessions are up there.
Where does he point?
He's pointing up where you can kind of see where these, now that you're up on the boardwalk, you can see that all of these boardwalks, they're not just interlaced along the surface of the water. They rise up at different levels, and you can just make out the edge of a massive tree stump.
Well, I'm going to take his scarf and I'm going to tie his hands behind his back.
Oh, very well. Very well. That is probably a very smart thing to do. Make sure that you take this. As you start to tie his hands, he kind of points at what looks like a sword tucked into his belt at first, but you can see instead that it is a branding iron. And he says, be very careful that you don't touch the end of it, because that thing is hot. It will burn you, and you will be marked. Yep, maybe a little tighter. I feel like I could get out of this. Do you tie his hands in front or behind him?
Behind him.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. And you can see he's kind of testing it, and he's like, oh, yeah, I can't get out of that at all. Very well done.
Cantriel leans over to Fig. Can you do that bedtime story thing you do?
Fig nods. You mean sleep, right? I'm just
Yeah.
Fig nods. Fig understands. So yeah, Fig is going to cast sleep on the rabbit.
Okay. You need to roll however many dice that is. Let's see if it actually works on him.
Yeah.
The trouble of always gauging, what you think is going to be an appropriate amount of hit dice.
Might crank it up a level or two.
Yeah. I'm thinking of cranking it up a few levels just to
How many
get
dice
real
does
good with the
every-
melatonin.
It's going to be a really good bedtime story.
It starts at
How
5
many-
and adds 2 die at each bump.
Every level's 2 dice?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'd look at 3 or 4. That'd be my guess.
I'd say
Yeah.
3 is probably a good spot. 3, maybe 4. Sure.
Yeah, we'll do 4.
I don't
got
think
the
he
slots.
was. I think he was barely damaged in the fight. So
And the only damage he took was from one of his own.
Yeah.
From one of his buddies.
One of his own men hit him in the eye with his rock. That could be the deciding factor of whether or not he falls asleep.
So as this
That would
all
be
kind of
11.
settles, Drown will snap his fingers again, and the water will sort of collapse back down to its usual
Pieces of
level.
boat, some very sopping wet Hare and Gon are climbing up out of the water, and there are 3 dead rabbits just floating in the water as it settles down.
Got 43.
I'm not going to lie. The difference, the amount of damage that he took was 7 points of damage. That is exactly the difference of what he would have been 1 hit point over what you rolled if he hadn't have been hit by his own man, is what I'm saying.
Amazing.
That's incredible. So he's as you're he's like, oh yeah, I am definitely not going to go anywhere. Oh, yeah, that's probably. Oh, I see what he did. And he just slumps over, and as he slumps, you just hear him going, and he is out.
Thank you. I don't trust that one at all.
As you say this, Cantriel, you hear a voice behind you say, "You're probably wise not to trust him, but he's also actually a man of his word." This voice is vaguely familiar to you. As you turn around and you see Arnold.
Oh, no.
You see Arnold, who is one of the survivors of the crew of the Evangeline.
Okay.
I don't know who you thought it was.
The other captain.
Oh, no. Thought Dervish was here?
Yes.
No, but you see, walking down a set of stairs is Arnold, who is one of the crew members of the Evangeline. And he is dressed in similar garb to the rest of the brigands. As he comes walking towards you all, and he says, I heard the commotion and decided to see how it was going down here, and was quite surprised to see the Dawnbringers here.
You aren't a rabbit.
No, I'm not. But
Drown kind of chucks him on the shoulder.
he kind of staggers a little bit. Agden is a human man who's about 6'2", pretty well. He kind of looks like one of the stockier Sea of Thieves characters. He's like all upper body and like small lower body, you know.
Forgot leg day.
He's but he's like no, it was when after that dragon took us, Evangeline saved us and sent us with magic to here, and when I showed up here, I was suddenly on these boardwalks, and I just started wandering around until, well, if I'm being honest, I met Agden because him and his friends bonked me on the head. But then they brought me back here and made sure I was doing okay, and I've been kind of hanging out with them for, well, it's been about, I honestly don't know how long it's been. Sometimes it feels like it's been a month. Sometimes it feels like it's been years. But, yeah, it's really good to see you all here.
Did you show up here alone?
I did. I've not seen nor heard from anyone else.
We know that others survived the destruction of the ship.
Oh, that is good. That is good. What of Evangeline? The word here is that she's been captured.
Yeah, we're trying to find her.
She is trapped.
Well,
The Hourglass Coven have something to do with that.
no doubt. I know you were saying you don't trust Sleepy Time Rabbit over here. I hope you can trust me. I maintain my honor and integrity to you, Captain. As he turns to you, Cantriel. I can assure you that no harm will come to you. Well, I don't think I need to assure you that, as clearly no harm will come to you. But no more of the brigands will attempt to steal anything from you.
Well, should we take him up there then?
Yeah, let's go. Oh. Let's go up top, and I can kind of fill you in on everything, and maybe you can fill in some of the blanks for me.
We'll do what we can.
What are the cronies doing?
Several of them. There are quite a few more that have kind of come down the stairs from some of these tiers of the walkways, and the ones that are pulling themselves up out of the water. As they're pulling themselves up, Arnold turns to them and says, "All right, listen up. Clearly, Agden's out. You heard what he said. He was offering protection and no harm, and you're all going to do it. And you see a couple of them kind of shy back from Arnold. And he looks at the last couple that are pulling themselves up out of the water, and he says, "It's still high tide, you better get out of that water." And no sooner does the last rabbit pull himself up out of the water than the three bodies that are sort of bobbing in there where the water level came back down, you see what looks like thick vines or tentacles, you're not sure which, just sort of start snaking themselves around the bodies, and the bodies are just pulled underwater.
Fig reaches into the water and pulls out Hermes just like very quickly and like holds him.
And in the water, your simulacrum is just going. Looking very alarmed at where they were.
I'll give Fig Prime upsies.
So you're gonna go with Arnold then?
Yeah.
Okay. You find that the rest of the Harengon, they all provide a wide berth. They're sort of flanking the area. You see several of them with their hands on. It's kind of as you're walking around and you just look around, you see on all these different tiers these rabbit folk, and some of them they're holding their crossbows, or they're holding clubs in their hands, and they're just looking down at all of you. But none of them are making any kind of actions or looking like they're going to try anything. Arnold orders a couple of the ones that were nearest to pick up Agden. And as long as you'll let them, Thorgarn.
Yeah, I figured one of us would carry him. I don't know how big he is, whether it be possible for Thorgarn, but he would do it if at all possible. If not,
he's sleeping, so you could, yeah. So a couple
Drown will throw him over his shoulder.
Okay. So yeah, a couple of them come forward, and then Arnold just goes, "Never mind, Drown's got it." And you all head up several sets of stairs until, as you're going up, you're kind of working your way around. You realize this massive tree stump is about 80 feet in diameter, and you get up about 30 feet high. All around the edges, you see there's several more skiffs that are moored up to some of these catwalks with enough slack in their lines to account for the rising and falling of the water. When you get up to the top of the stump, you kind of enter in through the side of where part of the wood, it's all cracked and falling away, and forms a partial archway. You walk into an area that is about a dozen patchwork tents that are surrounding an area where there is a carved, it's like, if you've ever seen where, like, when a tree kind of breaks away and pieces of it are left sticking up, it looks like they cleared all this area out, but for a section near the middle that was carved into a throne. And it's got designs carved into it to look like rabbits and things like that. And it's very clearly this is Agden's throne. And you see all around this throne is just boxes and bags and sacks full of not treasure, just random stuff. Some of it looks like worthless junk, but it's just piled high with things that they have stolen. There's quite a few more of the rabbits that are rabbit folk that are sitting around here, and they're just watching you as you all come up. And Arnold says, he usually sits there, but you can just put him wherever you want.
Drown will probably plop him into the throne and just sort of half prop him up, half drape him over the arm. Kind of shrug and come back to everybody. He can sit there.
Arnold says, Arnold says, well, like I said, I'm not trying to apologize for the fact that this guy, I'm telling you, if he could have, he had no idea who he was picking a fight with. But if he could have, he would have knocked you unconscious and they would have stolen some of your stuff. And they would have put you probably on a piece of mushroom or a skiff and pushed you out to drift in the swamp. And all the time I've been with them, these guys don't kill people. They just take things from them. Quite a while ago, Agden made a deal with somebody named Slackjawed Lorna. And it has to do with that scarf. This tree stump that we're on. Even they don't know how long it's been. There used to be a really tall tree that was here. And Evangeline gave Agden this scarf. And then wrapped him up in it and tied it atop the tree to keep him from causing problems and stealing stuff from people. And he was up there on Evangeline's orders. Somehow, after Evangeline was captured, that opened the way for the Harengon to cut down the tree and free him from it. Or rather, sort of. He was kind of confined to the area until he met Slackjawed Lorna and made a pact with her that every time he steals from people, whatever he steals, he has to give one thing to her. Recently, and it was weird because he didn't steal it, but he acquired this. It looked like an ornament for Winterfest, like you would hang from a tree. It was glowing, and I had a chance to look at this thing, and it just filled me with this strong sense of curiosity. He gave that to Slackjawed Lorna to fulfill part of, his bargain with her.
You've met this, or at least seen Slackjawed Lorna?
I saw her once.
What does she look like?
She looks like an ugly toad.
Is her name Bavlarna by any chance?
I have heard that name, that she goes by Bavlorna or Blightstraw, but around here they know her as Slackjawed Lorna, and she...
I wonder if she knows that.
I'm not entirely sure about that, but...
Is she a part of this coven that we're looking for, perhaps?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bavlorna Blightstraw and the Hourglass Coven, they're the same.
Do you know who the other two are?
That I don't know. But what I've heard is not far from here. In fact, if you head to the northwest from here on the boardwalks, you'll come to a section where that big aqueduct runs across, and it's broken up. But it heads over onto the other side, and there's a place out that way that's called Downfall.
Right.
That's where Slackjawed Lorna and her underlings make their home. Now, I've heard... I talked briefly with a... Now, you're not going to believe this, but maybe you will. I don't know how long you've been here, but I talked briefly with a very delightful goblin lady by the name of Jingle Jangle.
Jingle Jangle. We met her.
Oh, ha! You met Jingle Jangle. Delightful. Well,
She's why we're here.
really?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Agden stole a key from her that we are to retrieve.
That does not surprise me. And
Silver
especially
key.
if it was a key, that would very much upset Jingle Jangle.
Yep.
Yes, and a bag of truffles.
Oh, right. If the trolls hadn't been eaten, she'd like those back too.
Yeah, Jingle Jangle likes her truffles. Unfortunately, so did Agden. However,
Yeah.
hold on. And he kind of motions over to a couple of the Harengon, and two of them come running over, and he leans over, and you just hear him say, you hear the word truffles, and they take off. We'll get some new, fresh truffles. What do you know about this key?
Silver probably matches this cage in decoration. Kind of gestures to the fairy dragon cage.
All right. Let's see what we can do to get you that key. And he motions to another Harengon who comes over, and he tells him, start looking. Somewhere in here is a silver key. I don't care if it takes you all night. Find it. And he immediately, the Harengon kind of looks over at Agden, and then looks at Arnold, and then just does it. Like with Agden out of commission, they seem perfectly fine to take orders from Arnold.
Arnold,
Talmud will like make make Agden's head nod.
So are you the only one from the crew here?
However long it's been that I've been here, and I've not traveled very far from this place. I've been to Telemy Hill. I went snooping around Slaney Tower for a little while, but I've stayed away from Downfall. I haven't seen anybody else. And it's possible they fell into the hands of the hag. I hope not. Word is that one of the reasons they call her Slack-Jawed Lorna, she can let that jaw go very slack, and she likes to eat people. Now, I've heard, though, that there is somebody in Downfall that is not exactly loyal to Slack-Jawed Lorna, we'll say. It's an individual by the name of Clapperclaw. Word is that Clapperclaw knows his way out of this area that we're in, which is called Hither, and knows a way to get through to the neighboring realm through the mists, known as Thither.
Yep, that
Of course
tracks.
it is.
Which I don't know which one it is, but word is that place is run by another of the Hourglass Coven.
Seems likely that there would be 3 different places run
Well,
by hags.
From
I'm
what
assuming
I've heard,
Jan?
what was that?
I assume the last place is Jan.
What's happened is in Evangeline's absence, the Hourglass Coven took Persmere and divided it into 3 pieces amongst themselves, and each one of them rules over Hither, Thither, and Yon. Maybe the others are with those other realms.
Right.
I can only hope.
Do you know how to find Clapperclaw? Or just somewhere in Downfall?
That's the word, is that he's there. I don't know if how closely tied he is to Slack-Jawed Lorna. All I know is I've heard that he's not entirely loyal.
Does he have silver claws and no head?
Oh, he has a head. From what I've heard, it's a pumpkin. And he's got these like metal lobster claws, but
I think I've seen this individual.
You've seen Clapperclaw?
Well-
Have you been
well-
to Downfall?
No, there was a picture of him in the water while we were.
Yeah, the
moving
water will
here.
do that to you here. You got to watch out for them. They're the streams of conscience and the streams of vision. It's a Feywild thing.
Right.
There's a few
You mentioned
things
the
here you got to
tide
watch out
and the
for.
water rose. What happens at high tide?
Well, generally, when the water gets high, there are things that dwell in the mud that rise up and lurk about in the water. Now, in our world, there's an ebb and flow to the tides based on Seluna as she moves across the night sky. There's no such ebb and flow here in this world. You could have a high tide and then have a low tide an hour later. Could be 3 days later.
Right.
So he kind of looks around and he says, you're all here looking for Evangeline?
And
And
crew.
And the rest of the crew.
how do I get home?
That we're working on.
Well,
Once
however,
we have a way, we'll collect you and anyone else we can find. And
well
send you
then,
back if you want.
maybe I'll just stay here with these folks and keep Agden here in line.
You seem to be doing well for yourself.
Well, I very quickly let them know that I know my way around the water. And I knew a few things they didn't expect that I would know. They briefly stole my ability to tie knots, and that pissed me off. So that was the first thing I took back. So yeah, I've been doing all right here, and I can hold on a little bit longer if I have to, but I sure would like to get back home, though.
Talmud is going to go over to where a part of this tree stump is like sticking
Mhm.
partially up from where it broke, and he's going to just kind of grab a hold of a piece of the wood that's, I don't know, several inches long, and kind of break it off and come and hand it to Drown so that we can get back here quickly if we need to.
Perfect.
Well, he walks over to you, Cantriel. I know based on what happened in the north, in our world, with the Evangeline, the ship, we don't exactly have a ship for you to be captain of. But for what it's worth, I am still a member of your crew and you are still my captain.
Appreciate that.
Well, you're welcome to stay here and rest up. And, it looks like Agden's going to be out for a while. And feel free to leave him tied up in his scarf. And, I'll have a nice talk with him when he wakes up. But,
This location is called Big Stump, is that right?
this location is called the Brigand's Tollway.
Brigand's Tollway.
which, yes, you do, thanks to Talmud, now have a piece of the location that will zero you in right on this location.
Yep.
Arnold says, when you're ready, I will have some of the brigands lead you. And he kind of raises his voice a little bit. On the proper path towards downfall. But they're only going to go as far as the aqueduct. And then you'll be on your own. One of the Harengon that was digging around in all of the stuff suddenly goes, "Found it!" and holds up a silver key. And as he yells this, you see Agnan go, and you see his big rabbit feet kind of go, and then he just kind of settles back down and continues to snore away in his throne as the Harengon comes running over and hands the key to Arnold, who then hands it to you, Cantriel.
Thank you, Arnold. I think it's time we let someone stretch their wings a bit. What do you say, friend? And she'll turn to the cage and put the key in the lock.
As you turn the key in the lock, rather than a door unlocking, the entire cage shimmers and vanishes. You're left holding the silver key. And as the cage vanishes from around him, Sir Tolliver's wings sort of, and he stretches out to his full height. And you can see now that he stands, or rather hovers, very proudly at almost a full 12 inches in height. From the tip of his nose to the end of his tail. He has fastened around his waist, he has a sword belt with a rapier hanging in his sword belt, and he has a couple of leather gloves, and he... Well, that feels delightful to be stretching like this. I cannot thank you enough. Now, you have all done me a wonderful service. In what way can I repay this service to you?
Well, you seem knowledgeable. We could use a guide.
Oh,
And if you have any information about what might be waiting in Downfall, that could be helpful.
well, what could be waiting in Downfall? I can tell you, nothing good. Absolutely nothing good is in Downfall.
Going to guess bullywugs.
Downfall is the home of Bavlorna Brightstraw, where she holds the Soggy Court. That is her place of rule, where she presides over her slice of Prismere. She will not give it up easily. I merely deigned to offer a piece of advice which she was not appreciative of, and that's how I found myself within that silver cage. Were it not for my bullywug companion and our quick thinking to escape in the balloon, I would still be trapped, possibly, within her belly. It is not something that I want to repeat again. I dare say, as much as I wish I could, I will not return to Downfall. However, you do not need my assistance. I believe you are the one called Cantriel, and if my ears do not deceive me, you should be called Captain Cantriel. Is that not correct?
Just some.
Very
Why?
well. Captain. And he snaps a salute. You have a wonderful guide of the Feywild in your service. And unless I am mistaken, you have the air of the Feywild about you, though you may not be from this part of the Feywild.
Not this particular region, no.
And I'm trying to remember where normally is Verde.
Verde is normally where Rolo currently is, quite frankly.
So here's how this is here's what happens. Because you've been so focused on everything that's happened, and other than a brief mention, you haven't really taken note of Verde, because Verde's been with you for a long time.
No, Verde's got left in Icewind Dale.
That's what you think.
Oh.
Because as Sir Tolliver comes towards you, it kind of flits towards you, he points with apologies, as he says, with apologies. I don't like to just point at people, but keeping a bit of a distance for politeness, he points at your collarbone, and where your clothing kind of comes up from your armor, your leather and stuff, there is an emerald green fairy dragon pin attached to your clothing.
I have no idea how that got there.
Welcome to the Feywild, Captain.
No, this is welcome back.
Mm-hmm.
Give it a tap.
Chill.
As you do so, this little pin, like in my mind, this thing looks like an enamel pin, like you would get at a convention. it's straight up an enamel green fairy dragon, and as you tap it, it sort of stretches and yawns, and you feel a little bit of a pressure on your collarbone where it is, as it pushes off, and to full fairy dragon size, Verde is there. And Verde, you tell me, what does the Feywild version of Verde look like? You've got Sir Tolliver, who has sort of a humanoid face and mustache and a sword and gloves. What would Verde look like with slight affectations in the Feywild?
Verde would be this vivid combination of greens with almost like lunar moth wing details, instead of like typical dragon wings. And every time the wings flap, there's this dust that sort of flecks off, but it sparkles in process. Every time he moves, anytime he even breathes, there's this little aura of this sparkling dust and these very wide, large, vivid green eyes, similar to how Cantriel's look, without pupils, and very long snoot with this little bit of a snub nose at the end, and has a snaggletooth on one side.
And as he sort of flutters up with just a quick flapping of the wings, this sort of sparkly dust rains down around all of you, and for this initial awakening, if you will, of Verde, you all get 10 temporary hit points from this fairy dust or fairy dragon dust that falls across you, and even that you'll have that until they go away, even with your long rest coming up. And that'll be and then he sort of, as he does this, and the way this sort of fairy dust falls on all of you is Verde flaps his wings very quickly and sort of does a spiral up into the air. And all of this fairy dust rains around you, and then you see his wings just stop as he drops and then flares his wings at the last moment. And looks right at you, Cantriel, and says,
It certainly is wonderful to be back home in the Feywild, isn't it?
You're a little scamp.
So nice to see you.
Well, it's excellent to see you, but I thought I left you in the safety of, Yesha.
You did. I'm there now.
Oh, we're doing that.
But I'm also
Well.
here.
Mm-hmm. I can see that.
So, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you.
and he kind of flies up a little bit.
I have no idea where in the hell we are.
And
We're in hither.
you say in hither, and you see his wings just stop flapping for a moment, and he drops a good 12 inches before he recovers.
Oh dear. Well, we're certainly in some deep shit, aren't we?
Mhm,
And,
that's for sure.
And I think that's where we're going to end this session. Make sure you guys all go ahead and click your long rest. You will have a long rest here at the Brigand's Tollway. And you will also have an opportunity to, because you're taking some time into the evening, and when you wake up in the morning, you'll have time to make any kind of plans you want for what you're going to do and where you're going to go next. If you're obviously I know you want to go to Downfall, but you also have Jingle Jingle's key, and also another handgun does come running up with a bag full of fresh truffles that is delivered to you as well. So somebody want to mark that. You have your silver key, and you have your you have a bag of truffles. So all right, well, thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. And thank you for those who supported with subs and resubs and all that good stuff. Excuse me. Be sure to tune in this this Sunday to Erasmas Expeditions on YouTube at, I believe it's 3:30 Eastern. Am I correct in that? Or is it 3:30 Central?
It's 3 straight up Eastern.
Oh, 3 Eastern. Because myself and Carrie and Austin and Lloyd and Jeff, have I forgotten anybody? No, I'm the fifth. I already said myself.
That's it.
And under the wonderful GMing guys of Jeremy, we are playing part 2 of a Firefly trilogy using the Cortex system. And I'm playing Scoot McDuff. And it's just absolutely awesome. It is a tremendous crew. And Jeremy's an amazing game master. So tune in for that. Scribes and Scrolls will be back on Monday. On Tuesday, over on Dice and Ice RPG, there's going to be a very special episode of The Curse of Strahd that features none of us characters. So you'll want to tune in for that, because we are coming in on the end game very quickly. We've been playing that game for a couple of years. We're I think we're on like episode 52 or 3 or 4 or something like that. And it's been an amazing journey, and we are 100% the bad guys, and it will not end well. So be sure to tune in for that. Of course, next Friday, I'll mention it again next week, but next Friday, The Chaos Crew returns with Untraditionally Arcane over on Nerdarchy Live with our GM, Ted. So lots of great stuff going on. Oh, also, kind of around the same time that I'll have to double check, but around the same time that I'm over on Erasmus, here on Mini Terrain Domain, Jay is running Shadowport Adventures because the Star Wars Shadowport Adventures home is now MTD on Sunday afternoons with Dwight producing. So lots of great stuff going on. As I said, thank you to everybody who tuned in tonight. We greatly appreciate it. If you're one of those people lurking quietly in the background while we play, we greatly appreciate you all the same and hope you enjoy the show. In just a moment, I am going to send a raid over to our good friend and sometimes mod who keeps people safe in chat. Ashenworks looks to be playing some Elden Ring over on their channel. So we're going to send a raid over to Ashen. But before we do, I of course want to say a huge thank you to just these awesome players, the Dawnbringers. It's so great to be back after just 1 week off. I missed y'all like crazy. Glad to be knocking about in the Feywild. So thank you to V, Dan, M, Ted, Jeremy, and even though she couldn't be with us tonight, Katie, without whom it would just be me talking to myself for a couple of hours. With that, we're going to go ahead and end this stream the same way we end every stream, and you can say it with me if you want.
That's all, folks.
Doggy wood.